Check. Morning, everybody. Thanks for coming to the 2017 show this year. It's nice to see everybody. Good crowd this year. Today we're going to start with some potatoes. It's called aligot potatoes. So it's essentially a mashed potato, but we're going to kind of take it to the next level, change things just a little bit. It's a really great potato. You can basically use it as a fondue if you want for vegetables, meats. It pairs phenomenal with meat. Actually, at the end, we're going to have a little sausage to go with, and we're going to sample some of our demo from yesterday as well. That was cranberry savory sauce. So we're going to do that. So let's just jump right into things here. I got my pot of potatoes on. Key, lots of salt in there. You want your water to taste basically like ocean water. That's going to start and help give you flavors from the beginning. Same with if you were going to cook pasta, any other kind of boiled potato like that. You want to have a nice, heavily seasoned water, right? That's going to help you get flavors on the go in the beginning. Next off, we're going to use this awesome piece of equipment here. It's called a ricer. It's going to give you a much better texture on your mashed potatoes than, just using a whisk or a potato masher or something like that. It's going to help keep them light and fluffy, and you're not going to overwork them as much because, as some of you know, the more you mash potatoes, the more it starts to get sticky and gloopy, and you don't want that in this, right? We're going to fold our cheese and our butter and our cream in, and we want a nice, airy, fondue style that we can dip everything in, right? So like I said, we've got our potatoes going, heavily salted water. We're going to use Gruyere cheese today. Beautiful cheese. You don't have to use that. You can use like a Tome or a raclette if you wanted to. Sky's the limit, really. This is a great cheese for what we're going to do here today, though, so we're going to use that. Your butter, you want to cube it when it's cold, but you want to let it come to room temp so it's pretty soft. And then we're going to put that in the bowl, the majority of it, about 3/4. And then that way when our potatoes come out, we're going to rice them right over. It's going to start to melt. We'll fold that butter in, and then we're going to put our cream in. As well, we're going to warm up our cream just to help things so we're not putting cold ingredients into our hot potatoes. You can, when you're mixing this and you have to add your cheese and your cream and your butter, and if you find it's starting to get a little too cool, you can always put it back on the heat, just a low, gentle heat. You don't want to scorch the potatoes and burn the cheese to the bottom. So we're just going to slightly warm that cream up here just a bit. Just a nice, gentle heat. So you're basically going to fold your butter and your cream in there, and then we're going to beat the cheese in. So that's what I'm going to show you today. We're going to use our ricer, awesome piece of equipment, and then at the end we're going to get some samples going, and I'm sure you guys will enjoy that. Your potatoes are going to be in the water for about 15, 20 minutes, maybe 25, depending on your cut. As you can see here, I did a pretty small cut today. We wanted things to go quick, nobody likes to wait. You can go bigger if you wanted to make your potatoes take longer with your meats that you were cooking or your other vegetables if you needed the time. But today we want it quick, so we just went with a small dice. And that's going to just take a couple seconds and won't be long. And the great thing about demos is it's magical because we've already got potatoes that are cooked. So you guys don't have to sit here and watch me cook potatoes. So how awesome is that? So like I said, about 3/4 of your butter in the bowl. We're going to rice our potatoes right over that. And it's great because you can just set it there. You don't have to burn your hands picking your potatoes out. You just put it in there. You don't want to overload it too much, but just fill it up. We'll do a couple different rounds. And as you guys can see, I'm just going to push that through there. And see how that's nice and light and airy. You're not going to get lumps in there. It's not going to be all sticky from mashing it over and over again, right? So ricers are great, and you don't have to use them for just potatoes. You can do, if you want to do a mashed turnip or a mashed carrot, or sky's the limit, right? Great piece of equipment to have in your kitchen. And I mean, they're not expensive or anything like that, but it's definitely a lifesaver. And who really wants to whip potatoes all day anyways, so. So yeah, you can see the little granules coming out of there. And as well, like when we add our cream and stuff in there, that's going to help absorb all that as well, right? So we're just going to keep loading it up and mashing. We got one more here. If you get some overflow at the top, just set that aside. We'll push it back through after. So there you can see we got our bowl of potatoes. Our butter's in the bottom, melting. We're just going to let that sit for a second. And now we're just going to kind of start to fold that in there. At this stage, you don't want to work it too much because we have to beat that cheese in there. So you want to kind of save your working for that. As you guys probably see, that butter's melting nice. I mean, it was basically room temp. So we're just going to continue to fold that in. So our butter's almost melted there. We're going to take our hot cream that we have, pour that in as well. We're not going to add all of it in just yet. Just continue to fold that in. That's going to lighten things up here a little bit now, make it a little easier for us to get our cheese in there. And you can see it's still nice and fluffy, right? It's not getting too overworked, just nice gentle folds in there. We're going to add the rest of our cream in there. So now you can see that's a nice, almost like a whipped potato, right? And we didn't have to do any whipping yet, right? So the ricer really saves you a lot there. Nice texture. So now is where we're going to start to beat our cheese in. And you want to go just little bits of cheese at a time, right? Because you don't want to cool your potatoes down too much and be stuck with a big lump of cheese in there. So we're just going to add little bits in there at a time. And we're going to start to work it, right? So like I said before, you just want to make sure you don't work it too much until you get to this stage. This is when you do the work, right? So a little bit of cheese at a time. We'll keep beating that in there. And once we get all this cheese in there, it should be like a nice, stretchy, ooey gooey cheese, almost like fondue, like I said in the beginning, right? Now it's a little chilly in here today, so I may have to add some heat back to this. But we're going to go as far as we can until our potatoes cool down. So just keep adding little bits of cheese, keep whipping. Oh, that's how you know it's getting good. The samples are starting to come out, so we're getting close here soon. Make sure you get the center out of there because you'll get a nice ball of cheese in the center. We're going to add some more cheese. We're going to beat that in. And now we used a russet here today that we got locally, but you don't have to use a russet. You can use Yukons. Yukons are great. Yellow flesh potato, red skins, whatever you really want. Sky's the limit. So now you guys can probably tell my potato is getting a little too cool. So what we're going to do is transfer that back to a pot and just get a little bit of heat going in there. And varying on your potato, you may need a little bit of extra cream, a little bit of extra butter, but yeah, this is a great potato here. So we're just going to get a little heat back into that just because my potato is starting to cool down a bit. Just going to spread that out on the bottom, get all the surface area covered there. I'm going to add the rest of my butter and the rest of my cheese. And as that heat comes, we're just going to keep whipping that until we get that nice, creamy, cheesy texture that we're looking for here. Now with your potatoes, I mean, obviously you want to be constantly stirring those so they don't stick to the bottom, burn, scald your cheese. Oops. So we're just going to spread that out, let it sit for a second, let the bottom warm up. We'll give it a flip over, heat the top side. So pretty simple recipe. Like I said, it pairs well with vegetables, meats. We've got a cranberry infused sausage here that we're going to sample it with today, as well as a cranberry savory sauce we made on stage yesterday. Now you guys can see, I'll move this over in the center for you. We're getting some heat back in now. Starting to get a little gluey. So we're looking for a nice, stringy, cheesy texture, right? Just got to get a little more heat in there, and then I should be able to start folding that and showing you guys the cheese there. Same time though, like I stressed before, you don't want to work your potatoes too much, so that's why I'm kind of just trying to spread them out, get the surface area hot again so I don't have to continue to stir it that much. We'll just kind of stir, do a little flip, stir, do a little flip. And you can tell all the cheese and the butter and cream is just kind of lifting that up and making it airy, right? There's our cheesy, stringy texture we're looking for. We're almost there. And a lot of times if you were to just drain your potatoes right out of the pot, put your butter in there and go to town, it'd be ready. Where I did my potatoes ahead of time for a demo, they cooled off a little bit. So usually you shouldn't have to add it back onto the heat, but I thought I'd show you that way too, just in case you do get cooled down a little bit. So I don't know if you guys can really see, but I'm starting to be able to see the cheese strands pull apart. It's starting to get stretchy, real creamy. And that's going to be awesome for dipping stuff in and getting everything ready. There, it's coming now. I'll see if I can show you guys with the whisk how the cheese is starting to pull here. And there we got some samples coming there now. So I don't know if you guys can really see, but in that pot we're starting to get the nice cheese strands pulling. That's what you want. We probably could have added even a little more cheese and cream here today. But you're looking for a nice cheesy, stringy texture like that. It's nice, smooth, there's no lumps in there. That's where that ricer really comes into play. So it's really nice having that. And there, that's what we're looking for right there. We're gonna kill the heat on that. So now you guys can see the cheesy strands coming off that, right? That's what you want. You wanna be able to pull it, see those cheese strands. Probably could have used for a little more cream if you want to do it as a fondue to, dip your meats and stuff like that in. I'm sure the ones that the boys have here is probably a little bit more like that. So that's what we're going to do for the samples. And yeah, we're just about ready to get some of those going. So if you guys want to come up, or we'll pass some out, and you guys can give us a try and let us know what you think. So thanks for watching the demos today, guys. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next year, hopefully. Thanks, everybody.